Greetings and welcome back. I'm attempting this episode with no intro to see what the response is. We'll see what happens. But anyway, today we're going to talk about the workplace and how there's really no labor shortage and why people don't really want to work or they can't work. A lot of these work positions are. It depends what field you're in, but work, working in an office is high stress and you're sitting there. That's the general end of it. And then if you're working in some kind of construction or manual labor position, there's a lot of physical stress there and a lot of a lot of tendency to injury, repetitive stress injury, and there's a lot of alcohol and drugs involved from the doctor and street drugs in both office and physical labor work positions. But anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today.
I keep hearing.
We go back to this. We go back to that. Nobody wants to work anymore. They've been saying this. You can see that. You can see the decades they've been saying this. They've been saying this for like decades, hundreds of years, and they can never have a solution. They just say, "Oh, those lazy people don't want to work," and that's usually coming from. You hear people with savings and they claim to have worked their entire life. They might have been blessed with health that can allow them to work, but I can tell you, my father was like that. He was not. He was able to work his entire life, but he sold his soul basically. But he also developed alcohol problems and things like that, and this happens a lot. And who knows where it really came from? But I mean, there's not one source. I mean, like I said, we're just like I said in previous videos, we're like plants, and we don't get a botanist to analyze our life, our biochemistry, and therefore that's what happens with many people is they sell their soul for decades. If they're lucky to do that, that's not very common anymore to have one employer. However, that's what it is now. There's a lot of job hopping, a lot of instability and everything. Anyway, here we go. It's a shame. You see a lot of contradictions.
I keep hearing no one wants to work anymore.
Contradictions.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says the U.S. is dealing with a
structural labor shortage.
But here's the truth. There is no labor shortage. There is, however, a shortage of jobs paying sufficient wages to attract workers to fill them. When a problem is wrongly described, the solutions posed often turn out to be equally wrong. For most Americans, real inflation-adjusted wages continue to drop. Any pay increases workers may have earned in the past few years have actually been pay cuts because wages have lagged behind the rising costs of basic necessities.
That is the talking point of many people that claim to be socialists and trying to work for the little guy. They're often pushing unions and these types of ideas. And I used to strongly believe in that kind of thing, like when I was in my early 20s, mainly because my parents were like government employees, and there's a lot of the socialist mindset there. The government's going to take care of you. Your job is going to give you everything you need, and no, but they believe that. Anyway, you'll see more contradictions.
Like housing, food, childcare, and healthcare. Now, you don't have to be a financial wizard to see why some workers might say, the hell with it. So, what should be done about the difficulty employers are having finding workers? Simple. If employers want more workers, they should pay them more.
That is true to a certain extent. But when you pay them more, the value just keeps going down mainly because the politicians keep devaluing the money we have. You can see what happened around the world, especially in Canada, the past 5 years, but the past 25, 30 years, they've been devaluing the money, and a lot of the funds are going to housing. That's where a lot of investments are going, and everyone's buying these houses, and then it keeps going up. You can't afford rent anymore. You can't even afford to take care of yourself anymore. So these same people that are claiming that we need higher pay, you can see there, they say we need a high minimum wage, that the top image there. We need a high minimum wage that big businesses can afford, but small businesses can't. Okay. That's a lot of their thinking. We need expensive regulations that small competition can't afford. That's what you hear a lot of people calling themselves socialists saying they need more regulation, whatever that means. So politicians, bureaucrats are deciding things. Does that make sense? And they're virtually always being bought out by corporate lobbyists. So they crush small business. That's what it is. That's what regulation really is. And then they say we need government to close small businesses during the pandemic, but leave big ones open. And that happened. And then they say Amazon is too big, capitalism has failed. So they're just shooting themselves in the foot. They don't see that. There's a lot of things I didn't realize until I was a little bit older. But in my early 20s, I used to think, oh yeah, Big Daddy's going to take care of me. And I was having health problems too, but I didn't know what to do. And so I was trying to find a job that could pay me benefits. And for what? They're not going to help you. The insurance companies are not going to help you. No. So there you go. There's a big contradiction there. Like, just look at this image. We're like clowns. If anyone who believes what these guys tell us at face value without much research. Oh my goodness gracious. Total nightmare.
Today, because the Liberal caucus is here, we're having...
And here's more contradiction. The protesters, like I said, they claim that big corporations are destroying us, yet they call for big pharma to be covered by prescriptions to be covered by governments. What do you think it's going to do to the cost and to the small producers?
We want to show them that there are two issues that we're concerned about. One is the investment state dispute resolution, and the other is the farm.
And does that guy look very healthy to you? It doesn't look very. I'm not defaming him or anything. I'm just saying, does he look very healthy to you? Not
We
to
want
me.
to get a pharmacare program because we're the only country in the so-called developed world that has a universal health care program without having a pharmacare program. So we think it's very important. It would save a lot of money if we do it because we could buy drugs in bulk.
Okay, but are drugs going to solve your problem? They're good for acute issues, but over long term, they're not. Yeah, this is what they think medicine is. That's not medicine. Oh my goodness gracious. It's all definitions that are changing.
There's a whole cascade of physiological responses that occur under stress.
So, workplace stress, why do you think people don't want to work? They have lots of stress, lots of injuries, right?
And each of us differs in the way in which we respond.
Yes, because we're all individuals.
Under stress, glands above the kidneys release stress-related hormones like adrenaline,
Yes.
which increases our heart rate.
Yes.
We sweat more, and the way we metabolize food changes.
Yes.
Our immune system goes into overdrive, and that can cause inflammation. This response is meant to protect us against an infection.
That's good as long as the response, the inflammatory response, doesn't outlast the challenge.
If our immune system is overactive for too long, it won't be able to protect us against a cold or an infectious disease.
Yep.
Is stress always bad?
No, excessive stress is bad.
Liz Navarrete knows that.
Yeah. However, like I said before, they're giving very general information to properly handle situations like this. You need personalized assistance.
Incorporating stretching,
And here's more
posture, and
general
body
stuff.
mechanics
Wow,
into
stretches,
each
but
person's daily routine.
she's telling people to stretch to prevent repetitive stress injuries. But what do you think? What else that has made greater impact on your muscles? It's the status of your cellular nutritional status of your cells, of your muscles, everything else, right? Stretching will help, but if you're not eating foods that are for instance, generalized way of looking at this: magnesium, omega-3s, those, all the other nutrients that intersect, but those are the major ones. Magnesium is a big one, so is manganese. These types of things are rarely mentioned.
Is the key to preventing injuries.
A sense of psychological safety in a workplace increases productivity, increases innovation, increases retention, and they have a positive impact on their economic bottom line.
His advice for employers: don't choose between economic productivity and caring for employees. The two go hand in hand.
Well, first of all, you have to care for yourself. You have to be provided the tools to care for yourself. Personalized and individualized analysis of everything. We don't get that. I remember working. It's just working at these corporate jobs. It's really like a meat grinder. You see what people eat, how they deal with stress. It's really out of this world crazy.
How does a healthy diet impact on productivity in the workplace?
Well, obviously having a healthy diet really helps one to support oneself during times of high stress levels, and also when your diet is good, your energy levels improve, your concentration levels improve, and that obviously has a knock-on effect on productivity.
But we hear this over and over again. What is a balanced diet? There is no such thing as a balanced diet.
But are employees eating healthy? I think that's the main question. Are we really eating healthy? Or we just do away with a cup of coffee for the whole day?
Yeah, I think it depends on where you're looking. What I found from experience in corporate wellness is that there is definitely a trend to, for instance, book meetings through lunch hours where people are not eating, and that tends to be the culture of the company.
It's everywhere.
So that tends to happen in many companies.
There we go. What is a well-balanced diet? There's no such thing.
You know, the statement is, if you eat a well-balanced diet, you get all the vitamins and minerals you need. And any intelligent person asks, well, what is a well-balanced diet? And the answer is, it's a diet that gives you all the vitamins, minerals you need, right? So you kind of spin out of this cycle thinking, well, I probably eat a well-balanced diet. And that is a myth.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot you need to know. There's only about 50 essential nutrients.
He's going to say you need to guess at what you need. No, you don't. There's no guessing involved. The best way is to do a nutritional symptomatology assessment. No one ever told me that. Even if I heard it, I wouldn't believe it 15 years ago.
All you want to do is put together a program that gives you optimum quantities, and you have to guess at them because they're somewhat different for people, of all 50. And you have to start taking those so you're getting at least the basic material, and then see how many problems disappear.
Yep.
And then you maybe need to spend more time on certain people, like Dr. Hoffer talks about, the ones that require much higher doses for some reason, that are dependent on certain nutrients, or that need to be detoxified. So the approach is not that complicated.
It's not that complicated. However, many companies still haven't latched onto this. Even if they do, they might talk about generalized nutrition and maybe have a nutritionist or a dietitian on staff. However, there's different definitions for these titles. And it's obviously not working very well. Yeah. What is biochemical individuality? Here is Dr. Mensa. He's a big name in the orthomolecular world.
There's been a lot of talk of bioindividuality, but what exactly is bioindividuality?
What is it? Yeah.
Well, quite honestly, it's pretty much like what it sounds like. Bio meaning biology, and individuality meaning, well, you're just that unique person that you believe yourself to be. But do you understand what goes into bioindividuality? I want to give you an example. We're all pretty much the same kind of person, right? We're supposed to have 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs, and so forth. But here's the deal. Differences in our internal molecular structure or functioning make us a very, very particular kind of person that's different from the rest of the world.
Yes.
Now, for some of us, that may mean we've got a thyroid disorder, which can be negatively impacting. For others, it could mean, we are what we call undermethylated.
Yeah.
We don't have enough methyl molecules, therefore we're undermethylated.
Yeah.
These methylation molecules actually turn on our system. They turn on our DNA. They turn on our enzymes, our hormones, our brain chemicals. Okay. In addition to methylation disorders, there could be nutrient disorders like too much copper or too little zinc. Any engineer knows you can design a ship, you can design a car, you can design a plane on paper. That's genes. But how it actually works in real life, now that's what you need to really take a look at.
That's the epigenome. Look it up. Look up the fact the epigenome and famines in past generations can affect your expression of your genes now. It's very scary. Anyway, I hope you found this informative because I'm trying to shed light on why people they keep claiming that why they don't want to work. Wow, I mean, why do you think people don't want to work? They can't afford anything because of the money's worth nothing, virtually nothing. You can't even afford decent food, and the employers just drive you to the ground. So anyway, I hope you find this informative. We can try to change things, but it's going to take Herculean efforts to do it. Anyway, if you like my channel, subscribe, please. Like and subscribe.